Hey everybody, Jam Creates here. Another drive time video, driving home from work in the rain. So you may hear my windshield wipers in this video. You're definitely going to hear my turn signal because I'm putting it on now. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today was a little something I've been thinking about. And it's funny because there's no one particular thing that got me on this, thinking on this track, but it's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I'm genuinely just, it's something that bothers me, and what it is I'd like to know what happened to the fun. Like, what happened to things just being fun? And I'm not saying that there's nothing out there that's fun. There is. You have to find it, though. And it used to be so much easier. Now you have to actively look for it, or you have to know where to look for it. What I'm trying to say is, it used to just be things were done for fun, and now everybody takes everything so seriously that it's just ridiculous. And what I mean, just to give an example, is it used to be you could watch a cartoon, and a cartoon was just meant to be fun. It was just meant to be fun. Nobody was taking it too seriously. Nobody was thinking, no one was taking like all these examples and trying to think too seriously about the lore and everything else, or the characters and who they represent and all this other stuff. No, it was just fun. Like, people made cartoons for fun. You ever watch Inspector Gadget? That show was fun. It was stupid. The main character was an idiot. Penny and Brain are the ones who solved all the crimes, and yet Gadget got all the credit, and Dr. Claw ended every episode, yelling, "I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time." Oh, that made me cough. I haven't done that voice in a while. Okay, then. But anyway, the show was just silly and fun. And that's all it was meant to be. It was never meant to be taken seriously. Nowadays, I feel like if that show were to come out, people would talk about how Penny is, empowering young girls, and Inspector Gadget is whatever. Like, nobody cares. Nobody is looking at cartoons that way. I think this is a problem of people not growing up. It's funny, like, part of it, I think, is, it really comes down to, I think, as much as it pains me to say this in a certain extent, because I am a person like this, I am a nerd, I'm a geek, I've been that way my whole life, I'm always into nerdy stuff, I've always been, watch cartoons, read comic books, read books, watch anime, play video games, like, all that stuff, like, I'm a nerd. It is what it is. I own it, no problem. What the problem came when being a nerd was suddenly considered cool. And I don't mean that in some sort of like, oh, well, I liked this before you did, so you don't count. No, I could care less. Like, whatever, like what you like. I don't care. I've never been one of those types of people who says, like, you can't come into something afterwards. Like, who are you to say that? Maybe they just didn't discover it until later, or maybe they were born after you were and they came to something later. Like, who cares? All that is chronology. That's time. So you weren't born in 1970, so you weren't 7 years old when the original Star Wars came out, so you're not a real fan. No, who cares? If you're a fan, you're a fan. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't care about that. But what happened is, all of these people who started proclaiming that, the nerds will inherit the earth, and there was all these magazine covers and headlines and things like that of, like, nerd is the new cool and all these other things. And honestly, I think it caused a problem, because when being a nerd and being into nerdy stuff was something that you were always, like, slightly ashamed of, even if you were proud of your stuff and you enjoyed it, you still understood that not everybody else likes this stuff. So you get it. You look for other fans. And then when you find another fan, you're like really excited because you have somebody to talk about this stuff with. And that's how it always was. And I think now that it's become like it's the cool thing to say you're into comic books even though you've never read one, or you know, you like Iron Man because you like Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Iron Man in the movies, which is fine. Like, I think something happened and people decided that now, well, you like this stuff, so now it has to be taken seriously. But it really doesn't. Like, and I don't mean that, it's hard to explain. Probably should have thought more about this before I started this video. What I'm trying to say is, when you were a kid, all right, think back. If you're around the same age as me, you know, you're in your early 40s, or whatever age you are, whatever it was you were into. But I'm going to use myself as an example. When you were in your early, you know, if you're in your early 40s now, you remember back in the day when the X-Men were the be-all, end-all of everything in comic books. And you were constantly having discussions with your other nerd friends about Wolverine's healing factor and all these other, you know, like, could you kill him if you chopped his head off, or could you kill him if you did this, or whatever. Like, you had all these nerd conversations. Like, if you've ever seen Clerks, like, you know, you have nerd conversations like are in that movie, or whatever, or even in like Mallrats or whatever. Like, any Kevin Smith movie is gonna have some sort of nerd conversation in it. And that's what it is. Like, you did that stuff, but at the same time, and you took it seriously. Like, you would have passionate arguments with your friends about who would win in a fight between, you know, the Hulk and Superman. And you would have these passionate arguments, but at the same time, you also knew that it was all nonsense. Like, it's just fun. It's just entertainment. Like, it's not the be-all, end-all. It's not the real world. And that was the difference. And I feel like people now I don't know if it's they just don't understand. Like, you understood that if somebody came to you while you were having a discussion about, you know, Wolverine versus Lobo and said, oh, you know, hey guys, you know, my mother was just diagnosed with cancer, you would have a serious conversation then. You would turn that stuff off and be like, okay, well, comic books don't mean crap right now because my poor friend's mother has got cancer. You know, I'm going to be here and help my friend now. This is a serious matter. Comic books are not the real world. But now I feel like people have gotten so ridiculous about this stuff that they get offended over comic book characters, over cartoons, over everything. Like here's a good one. Okay, people went nuts. They lost their minds when Frank Oz, who is the voice of Yoda, he's the puppeteer and the voice of Yoda, he's the voice of Miss Piggy, he is the voice of a bunch of other people. He does Bert or Ernie, I forget which one he does. I think he does one of them. When he said the other day that, or whenever this might have been a while back, he said that Bert and Ernie are not a gay couple. They were two puppets on a kids show who showed friends living together who were, you know, kind of opposites. Essentially, they were the odd couple. And people lost their minds. They lost their minds. They started attacking Frank Oz on Twitter, calling him all kinds of names, all horrific things, telling him he's a bigot and all these other horrible, horrible things, because these two characters that are made of felt and wood and whatever the heck they're made out of, he said, no, they were never conceived as a gay couple because they're freaking puppets on a show that's meant for preschoolers. I mean, what the hell, people? They're puppets on a show made for preschoolers, and you're getting bent out of shape because he says, well, no, they were never meant to be a gay couple or anything like that. They're just two friends who live together. If you're getting horrifically outraged by that statement, you need to reassess your life. You, my friend, have not grown up. And that's the key. I can right now have conversations with people I work with friends, whatever, about Star Wars, about G.I. Joe, about Transformers, about any kind of nerdy stuff, Nintendo games, whatever. And we can have these conversations, and they're fun conversations to have, and we can talk all about them. But I can also turn that off and be a professional at my job. Why can I do that? Because I understand the difference between the real world and the fake world. And it seems like too many people out there can't do that. They can't separate the fake from the real. And so what's happened is they've sucked all the fun out of the fake stuff. The fake stuff is supposed to be the fun stuff. It's supposed to be entertaining and fun. It's not supposed to be depressing. It's not supposed to be eye-opening. If you're making, a G.I. Joe property, let's say you're making a G.I. Joe movie or a new cartoon series or a comic book or whatever, it's not supposed to be a dark commentary on the ravages of war, man. No, it's supposed to be a bunch of silly dudes with silly code names running around and having high adventure and shooting a million lasers at each other and never hitting anyone, and everyone jumping out of their planes before they blow up. Like, that's what it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be about a dude who runs an organization where everything is themed around snakes, trying to set up a planet weather controlling machine. Like, that's what G.I. Joe is supposed to be. And is that supposed to be taken really seriously? No, it's silly. It's supposed to be fun. Fun! Do you people know what fun is? Because I don't think you do. I think people have forgotten what fun is. They've forgotten how to have fun. Everything has to be viewed through this crazy lens of politics and identity and beliefs and all these other... It's so silly. Like, dude, it's just a cartoon people beating each other up. Like, just have fun with it. And I think you're starting to see that. What happened was, that happened with some people, in the fandom, who started demanding that all these things be taken into account when the stories are written and the stories are drawn. And what happens is now it's seeped in, it got to the creators, and a lot of the creators are that way now too. And that's why, if you notice, like, any new costume that a superhero has now, they're generally pretty lame. A lot of them seem pretty uninspired. They just seem, they do seem, some of them do seem realistic and maybe utilitarian for what the hero would need, but when has that ever been the criteria for a good superhero costume? Let's go all the way back. Let's go back to Superman. His costume is not really functional. It's spandex and a cape. And I think anyone who's seen The Incredibles knows how dangerous a cape can be. Now, granted, Superman could deal with getting sucked into a turbine of a jet. He would destroy the jet. And he'd come out just fine. But that's beside the point. The point is, the costume doesn't have to be functional, really. It just has to look cool. It just has to look cool. And it functions because it's a comic book. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Batman's costume is wildly impractical. That giant cape that you see him, he'd be tripping over that every 5 feet. It would be ridiculous to go out in that costume. It would make no sense. Now, some old costumes were practical. Spider-Man's costume is practical. There's really nothing to it. Although, if you really stop and think about it, he should be wearing some sort of body armor, because while he does have extra strength, he gets the crap knocked out of him all the time. He could use a little protection. But it doesn't matter because it looks cool. It's comic books, people. It's fun. It's supposed to look cool. These people are not supposed to look like you and me. If you looked at comic books when you were a kid and you said, oh no, these people don't look like me, they're all big and strong, and they have no fat, and they are all handsome and pretty, and they don't look like me, so I am scared of them, or I don't like them because I cannot relate to them. You're not supposed to relate to them physically. Of course you don't relate to them physically. Did you relate to Arnold Schwarzenegger physically in Conan the Barbarian? Did you relate to Arnold Schwarzenegger physically in Predator? No. Not at all. Did you, even better, here's one for you. Did you relate to Arnold Schwarzenegger physically when you were watching Commando? No, but you could relate to him on a level of his character of, he's trying to save his daughter. That's a dad trying to save his daughter. He just happens to be freaking huge. And you can get behind that, and you can understand that, and you can ride with that. It doesn't mean he has to look like you, because quite frankly, if Arnold Schwarzenegger looked like me, if the main character in Commando looked like me, he would have been dead in the first, half hour of the movie. I'm no physical specimen. Let's just get that straight right now. And neither are you, probably. Neither are most of the people listening to this. We're average, normal people. And I know some people don't like that word normal, but deal with it. But that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun, is you can have the catharsis of watching this dude who can do things that you can't possibly do, beat up the bad guys and save his daughter. And yay, at the end, everybody, the good guy wins. That's what people want. It's fun. It's fun. Stop taking this stuff so seriously. Stop taking it as a way to represent your politics and your ideas and all these other nonsense. The only ideas that a kid's cartoon should have is to be colorful, to be fun, and to have the good guys win and the bad guys lose. Now, we could get into the whole idea of who are our heroes now, because of so many TV shows and movies and such where the heroes, quote unquote, of the films are villains. They're villains. They're bad people. You go back to The Sopranos or more recently now, like Game of Thrones, so many of those people are bad people. They're bad people. But you root for some of them just because you like them. You like the way they look, you like their character, you think they're pretty, you think whatever, you think they're funny. But they're bad people. They're bad people. And that has become our heroes. Well, quote unquote heroes. In a lot of our TV shows are the criminals. The days of the hero being a good guy seems like nobody wants to do that anymore. But you know what? That can be fun. And listen, don't get me wrong. I love Game of Thrones. I do. I think it's good storytelling. And you can have good storytelling with a villain being the main character. That's fine. But you need to understand that the villain is the villain. Whether he's the main character or not, he can still be the villain. I can watch a show where a dude is a complete scumbag, but he's the main character, but he's not a hero. And I'm never going to look at that guy and think, oh, I want to be like him. No, of course not. I just feel like everybody takes this stuff so seriously now that they've lost the ability to just understand that what it is. It's just fun. It's entertainment. Not everything has to send a message. Not everything has to be a shocking and powerful tale. No. It can, things can just be fun. That's okay. I think some of it goes back to when everyone decided that you can't like anything unironically. That became a thing, and it really hit hard. All of a sudden, you couldn't just genuinely like something. It always had to be an ironic liking of stuff. And I don't get that either. Why can't you just like something? You like what you like. Who cares? It's just, I feel like this is what happens when people have no real problems. If you have real problems in your life, then all this other crap is meaningless. All this other stuff is nonsense. Trying to utilize a kid's cartoon or a comic book to explain your position in the world and all this. It's all nonsense. It's all crap. Get over yourself, grow up, be a freaking adult, and live your life. And guess what? You can still have fun. You can still have fun. I had endless fun with Star Wars over the years, talking about it, watching it, playing Star Wars as a kid, you know, just having a good time with it. And now it became dour and bland, and it became literally a parody of itself in The Last Jedi. I mean, that scene with the iron landing, that's a scene out of Spaceballs. You can't make Spaceballs anymore. Like, I know that Mel Brooks was talking about making a Spaceballs too, The Search for More Money, but I don't know if he can do that anymore. At least not, he can't skewer Star Wars in that way because they did it themselves. You had Luke Skywalker milking a giant sea cow thing, and then you had an iron that was supposed to look like a ship landing, and then you realize it's just an iron ironing Kylo Ren's shirt. Like, that's the kind of crap that he does in his Mel Brooks movies. That's not something that would be in a Star Wars movie. Like, and I know I sound like I'm contradicting myself a little bit in, like, you know, like, that's silly and that's fun, but it's not, because you need to take your stuff seriously. But when you're talking about, when you're creating it, but when you're talking about it and you're having a good time with it, like, you also have, you know, you have to respect the things that people made before you, and you need to put things in their place. Star Wars is not the place to make deep philosophical and political statements. It's just not. And then when you do try to do that and it backfires, then you don't get to say, well, it's just a movie about space wizards and, you know, whatever. Like, no, you don't get to do both. You can't have it both ways. So, this is the problem. Like, people, I don't know, it makes no sense to me. I'm getting annoyed. I'm home. I don't know if this video even made any sense. I'm going to try this weekend to do some more other types of videos, you know, like maybe some drawing videos. I haven't done those in a really long time. Maybe some comics, maybe some of my old Jam Creates, you know, Jam Comics classics. Things like that. We'll see. I'm not sure what I'm doing this weekend. But I'll definitely have some content coming for you. So if you like this video, if you don't like this video, if you think I'm crazy, if you think I was just rambling for however long this video is, that's fine. You can let me know. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Like, subscribe, hit jingle that bell for notifications. Definitely going to try and maybe get some more seasonally appropriate stuff coming soon, like maybe some Christmas themed stuff. We'll see. That's it. At some point, I'm going to try a live stream, maybe, but I'm going to need more subs before I do that, because I need to get some people in there. So if you like the channel, you know, share it with your friends. Let them know I'm here. I get lots of views on BitChute, so if you're watching on BitChute, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, because I got a lot of people watching on BitChute. A lot more than I have watching on YouTube. So I'm not really sure why that is, but you BitChute people, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And that's it. I'm out. I will see you soon with another video. And yeah, that's it.